Happy Saturday, everyone. We have a cool burner for you guys to be a sprinter. It's going to allow our legs to kind of get one more dose before the weekend starts. So let's talk about that momentarily. We're going to talk about our warm-up. Warm-up, side scale raise for 5 aside, wall sit for 30 to 40 seconds, 30 to 45 seconds, into a single leg RDL for 5 aside at a 3-second eccentric, calf raise for 30 seconds, 2 to 3 rounds. This is really just priming up the legs a little bit just to get you kind of fired up, wake things up from yesterday and the day before, and see where we're at with those legs. After that, we're going to move into a little bit more kind of dynamic kind of movement set, kind of more like our movements in our workout. Standing lunge for 3 aside at a 3-second eccentric, really working on positioning here. Sumo Squat Hold for 15 seconds. Dumbbell Sumo Deadlift for 5 reps at a 3-second eccentric, really priming up those positions for our kettlebell swing or our dumbbell swing into our jump squat for 20 seconds. So just movement. Don't worry about reps. Focus on good quality movement, just firing up those hips a little bit to get ready to jump. 2 to 3 rounds there. From there, then you're going to move into a practice round. And I'm going to have a couple different variations of practice rounds on that workout description, so check those out. You don't have to do all of them. Pick 1 or 2 and see how it goes, or do a round, or just pick one, rock it, just to get your body fired up for the work set to come, so that whenever it says 3, 2, 1, go, bam, you can just start and get ready. The work set today is 40 alternating lunges, so nice and steady, just taking down those lunges nice and fast. They're meant to be unloaded, but if you'd like to do a goblet squat a goblet position or a front rack, you're more than welcome to, but keep the weight light or just unloaded like they were intended to be. From there, you're going to move into 30 kettlebell or dumbbell swings, and they're going to finish off with 20 box jumps or a box jump equivalent in this work set. That is one time through, tackling that thing down hard, just going, no holds barred, just take it through and see where you can take down. It's going to burn, but it's going to be a lot of fun. After that, we have this little triplet here on the bottom that's just really there. A couple rounds is optional. Right after the workout's done, give yourself maybe 20 to 30 seconds and then start into this. And this is going to help move your legs around a little bit and kind of ease you into a nice cool down. What we have here is a single leg good morning with rotation for 3 to 5 aside, back scale raise for 5 aside, and a side lunge for 6 to 10 alternating reps at a 303 tempo. And really, again, that's just about movement, getting that body settled down after that nice quick sprint through that work set. Let's get you warmed up. Let's get you ready to go. All right, let's get our bodies moving a little bit. Let's take those arms up big and tall. Big stretch overhead. We're just going to side bend it a little bit. We'll come back up and over. A little side bend. From here, we're going to forward fold, touching those toes, walking up those shins. We're going to come back down. Framing a foot, we'll step that foot back into our lizard, nice and square. And we're going to take that inside hand up all the way to the sky. And we're going to rotate, forearm to the floor. We'll come back up, big stretch. And rotate, forearm to the floor. Come back up, big stretch. And rotate, forearm to the floor. And big stretch. We're going to plant that hand down. We're going to lower that back knee down. We're going to press that hip. And come back through, outside hand, big reach. Lower that hand down, press the hip. Come back through, open up, big reach. Plant that hand, press the hip. Come back through, outside hand, big reach, and plant that hand. We're going to straighten out the back leg. Step back into that down dog, reaching those hips. Nice and set. Let's just walk those heels out. Nice and slow, nice and steady. Wake up those ankles for some jumping. We're going to come back into our plank, stepping the other foot up. Nice and square in those hips, inside hands can reach. We'll rotate, forward on the floor. Rotate, and back up, and rotate, and back up. We'll plant the hand, we're going to lower the back knee, press the hip, come back through, outside hand reach, plant the hand down, press the hip, come back through, outside hand reach, come back down, press the hip, and back through, outside hand, and plant that hand. Straightening out the back leg. I'm going to step back into that down dog. Reaching those hips, just walking those heels out one at a time. Nice and gentle. reach, little side bend, and a side bend. We'll bring those hands down. Woo! That's what you fired up and ready to go. If you'd like to continue doing some gentle warm-up, please do so. Pause the video. We're going to move into that first phase, which is going to consist of some pretty slow, steady state movement. But pause the video, take that down, come join me. We're going to start warming up them legs. All right, so we're going to start off our kind of work set today with some side scales. So we're going to start heating up the glute and working on some balance. So we did these yesterday in our warm-up as well. What we're going to start off with is picking our favorite foot to kind of begin. We're going to shift our weight to that balancing leg, and we're going to try and keep a nice straight line of action from shoulder down to the heel. I'm going to point my other toe off to the side so you can see the top of my foot, and you can have your hands wherever they need to be for balance. We just want to keep them out of the way of the leg. So in terms of hands, I like to keep them on my ribs so I can feel if I start to break or not. It just gives me a good reference point. Now from here, I'm going to lift that leg to the side, and I'm going to lower with control. And again, lift and lower with control. I'm not trying to kick it up, nor am I turning my toe to the side. I want to make sure that my toe points straight and that the top of the foot points towards the camera or straight ahead. So it's straight up to the side, really feeling it through that hip and that inner thigh. So take the time with those. We want to make sure it's with control. I don't care how high it gets. So just, if you're like, you know what, that's what I got, that's okay, all right? That's all good. Work on building that glute, work on building that hip strength, and slowly making your way up to that higher lift. It's all good. It's going to help build some range of motion plus strength at the same time. After that side scale raise, we're going to go over to the wall and talk about that wall sit again. Right, so we're back at the wall. So we're going to work on the wall sit. We did this yesterday in our work set. What we're going to work on doing is just priming up those quads, getting those legs ready. So we're going to roughly be about a foot's distance away from the wall. And that's a nice place to start. So I'm going to sit back against the wall. My feet are going to be kind of in that squat stance. So just outside those hips/shoulders. Toes can be slightly turned out. My shoulders and my hips will be against the wall. And I'm going to squat down. So I'm going to take those knees so they track the toes. So they're not collapsing inwards, they're staying out, tracking my toes, and I'm staying at just above parallel to parallel. I'm keeping my weight flat through the feet, through my midfoot, and I'm just going to hang out here. Hands can be on the stomach, they can reach out straight ahead. You can even add in an overhead position if you'd like to challenge that overhead position. But I want you to kind of find that position that best suits you. You're going to hold this for 30 to 45 seconds to come out. You push all the way up with a good position. And to go, whoo, quads on fire. And just take a moment to stretch that out a little bit and shake it in. The big thing with the wall sit is that we want to hit a range that challenges our quads to be firing, but doesn't cause us pain or negative sensation in our knees. So find that range, and again, it doesn't matter if it's not just above parallel or parallel. If it's somewhere slightly higher, that's okay. That's where we have to start, and over time, we'll build that strength, engagement, and position. The key thing, focus on that good knee position so the knees track the toes, and we stay in that good, hardy stance. After those wall sits, we're going to start firing up our hamstrings a little bit. And you can do this with load or no load, but we're going to work on that single leg RDL. So I'm going to turn profile so you guys can see this. I'm going to bring that toe down as a nice little kickstand. Hips are square to the front. I'm going to squeeze my glutes, setting nice and tall. I'm going to keep my hands to the front like I'm holding my dumbbell or holding an imaginary dumbbell. I'm going to pull my hips back into that nice hinge as I take my hands to about my knee or just below, and then I'm going to stand tall, pushing through that leg and squeezing my glutes. So I want to think about everything shifting from my hip crease to the top of my head. Everything moves together as one piece. So that's where I want to think about primary focus in terms of building that hinge and really focusing on that weight through my midfoot so I'm not losing my balance and falling back. Range of motion is not super important. So again, I only really want you going as far as just below the knee so we can keep maximum tension on that hamstring and we're not worrying about losing that back position by trying to go all the way down to the floor. We're not trying to touch the floor. We're trying to wake up those hamstrings and glutes. From there, we have 30 seconds of calf raises. So So good old calf raises, priming up our body. You can do this with the dumbbell if you want to hold it to the front, hold a dumbbell or two to the side, front rack, whatever you want to do, but our toes are going to be pointing straight ahead. And what we're going to do is we're going to try and stay balanced between the big toe and the pinky toe, setting the glute, setting the ribs, and we're just going to work on pushing through those feet, controlling that down just a bit. So they don't have to be those pause calf raises. They could be though if you wanted to, but we're just keeping it nice and smooth. Again, focusing on equal weight between the pinky and the big toe. I find for most people, it's better to think about your big toe more than your pinky, because most people will rotate kind of out and collapse out to the pinky, opposed to staying square. So if we think about the big toe a little bit more, that kind of helps balance us out and meet in the middle. Quick little recap for that opening piece. We have a side scale raise for 5 a side, wall sit for 30 to 45 seconds, single leg RDL for 5 a side at 3-second eccentric, and then a calf raise of 30 seconds of just steady state, loaded or unloaded. 2 to 3 rounds of that just to fire up the body, get things kind of saying hi after yesterday, and then we're going to move into a little bit more movement specific to our work set. And then we've started firing up the body a little bit. We're going to move into some more movement specific work sets, which is going to consist of our standing lunge. For some of you, you're getting to the point where you kind of want to load this a little bit under the goblet or front rack. That's totally fine, but give yourself the dose that you need. If you're not ready for that, don't worry about it, or even if you want to build into that little bit of load near the end, that's also fine. It just helps build some strength in that lunge. So what we're going to do is I'm going to get myself set up in my squat stance. I'm going to step forward with one foot, back slightly with the other foot. Both feet are pointing straight forward, all right? And I'm standing about 50-50 weight between my feet and my legs. I'm going to squeeze my glutes, get my hips nice and square. My hands can go where they need to be, but we want to keep them off the front quad. So from here, I lower down 3 seconds, nice and slow, and then I stand tall, straightening out my legs. Squeeze my glutes, lower, in that nice lunge position, stand tall. I don't need to worry about going all the way to the floor. Just take it to the range you feel comfortable and controlled, or slightly uncomfortable, but controlled. That's very important to keep in mind. We want to maintain that control and that stacked knee, hip, and shoulder. So take the time, play with that, see where it takes you. If you want to load it, you're more than welcome. We got 3 per side. From there, we're going to go into our sumo stance, and we're going to work on a 15-second sumo squat hold to just open up the hips a bit. So the toes are turning out slightly. We're going to try and stay as upright as we can, setting the hips. We pull the hips to the heels, pressing those knees out so they track the toes, keeping the chest up nice and tall, and we hold for 15 seconds. We want to make sure we come out of it the same way we enter it. So if you need to come out before the 15 seconds is up, that's okay. Bank 15 seconds, accumulate that time. So we set the hips, we take it down, executing those good squat mechanics, tall chest, knees out, tracking those toes, and then we push through those feet and stand tall. So nice and smooth, just really opening up those hips a bit for what's to come. Right after that, we're going to move into a sumo deadlift. And these sumo deadlifts are here just to work on position and kind of gear up the hinge for our dumbbell or kettlebell swing. So you can use a kettlebell, dumbbell, whatever you have. We're looking at standing right over top of that dumbbell or kettlebell. We're going to pull the hips back and down, keeping that chest up nice and tall, setting that nice mid-foot balance, and push through those feet to stand tall. The second rep, if you don't want to go all the way to the floor, that's fine. We're going to take it somewhere below the knee, keeping that back as your primary position, and tall. So we're taking a 3-second eccentric down, just taking our time to work position, to feel our feet, to feel the weight in our feet, and really work that good hinge position for our kettlebell swings to come. Right after that, we have some jump squats. We're going to get some good kind of explosiveness in those legs. So we have 3 different variations. Our regular squat stance is going to be used for this. We have, at base level foundational movement, we have our air squat. So our hips going to the heels, knees tracking the toes, feet staying flat, and trying to stay as upright as we can. So we get that nice squat and that good push. After that, what we have is our non-jumping jump squat. So we get a good squat, we drive, and we pull down, controlling that descent so that we're controlling our position for the next rep. Last but not least, we have our jump squat. So we actually leave the ground. We squat well, we drive, and we pull back into that bottom position. I'm not trying to get crazy height. I'm just trying to extend through the knees and the hips in that tall position, making sure that I'm working on that descent and controlling that lower as best I can. Quick little recap on that work set. We have a standing lunge for 3 aside at a 3-second eccentric, Sumo Squat Hold at 15 seconds, dumbbell Sumo Deadlift, 5 reps, 3-second eccentric per side, or whatever you happen to do. If you have a kettlebell, it'll just be 5 reps, whatever you need to do for that. And then a jump squat of 20 seconds, just for good movement, one of those 3 options we just covered. 2 to 3 rounds, rock it, take it down, get your body ready to go. We're going to do a nice little practice round of the movements that we're going to use in the work set. All right, you guys. So the movements we got going on, we're going to work on our practice round, our lunges, kettlebell or dumbbell swing, and box jumps. So we have a few different options, and I'll have the breakdowns of the different practice rounds on the workout description for you guys. But let's talk about the movements. We have our lunge. So the lunge today was meant to be unloaded, but if you'd like to load it a little bit, there's nothing wrong with that, but keep the weight light. Right? If you have 2 dumbbells at home, maybe just use 1 and see how it goes, or empty-handed. So we have our choice. We could do our standing lunge if that's one of those things where I'm still kind of working on my lunge footwork, trying to get the strength there. Do half reps, or do 10, 10, 10, 10, and take it back and forth from there in the workout. In terms of the other lunge, we have our forward lunge. So we're going to step forward, lower down, working on that good position, alternating back and forth, keeping that body nice and upright. Other variation we have is the back lunge, keeping that body upright, that knee stacked over top of the heel, and trying to keep that back knee stacked under hip, under shoulder. So again, working to the range, the control that you have for yourself. You don't have to touch the knee to the floor. If you can, with a light touch, then take it down, but I don't want you smacking the knee off the floor. After that, what we have is our kettlebell swing or our dumbbell swing. So kettlebell swing's pretty straightforward, but the dumbbell swing we can hold a few different ways. The swing itself is the same for all the different variations of holding the dumbbell, but what we want to think about is that good solid hinge. So I'm going to deadlift the dumbbell up, and the first one I'm going to show you guys is that kind of holding by the belt. So I hold it by one end of the dumbbell, my feet are kind of in a squat stance, nice and comfortable. I'm going to keep my hands above my knees, so I'm going to keep a short little hinge and then work on that good extension, that good drive through the legs, through the hips, and control. The next variation, we hold like a golf club. So both hands on the handle. The hinge is the same. We can take it as high or as low as those shoulders will allow in terms of that range of motion. So shoulder height to above, whatever you feel comfortable with the shoulder position, you can take it there. Last but not least, this is again one of my favorite variations with the dumbbell, the single arm swing. We just hold the handle by one hand, we get ourselves set up. Same swing mechanics, dumbbell between, keeping the hand above the knee, so quick little hip extension, leg extension, and then we can switch to the other side and work on splitting up that work however we would like. It's a nice even number today with 30 reps in a workout. So if you want to do 5, 5, 5, 5, that's a nice breakdown. Gets the body moving really well. Nice even breakdown, or if you want to go 15, 15, that's also fine as well. So play with that, see what takes you. I'm going to have some options there for you guys for sure. Our last movement in the workout is our box jump. And we have some different variations for you guys, but I have a little box here that we can use. If you have an apparatus at home, a box, a step, an ottoman, something that is stable, very important, all right? Something stable. We don't want anything shaky or rocky that we're jumping on, especially when we're coming at it with some fatigue in this workout. So make sure it's stable, make sure we're comfortable with that. The jump itself is very similar to the kettlebell swing. So we're going to throw those hips back a bit, those knees go slightly out, and as I drive up, the knees stay out, I land, the knees stay up. So a couple box jumps for you guys. We jump, we come to full extension, we step down, full extension, step down, full extension, step down. If we're not comfortable jumping, but we do have something that we can step up on, we can work on some nice step ups, coming and making sure that we're going into full extension to the leg and the hips. Or we can work on a lateral step over. So leaving that foot up on the box to work on that nice little lateral step over. You don't need to leave the foot up on the box, but I prefer it because, again, bringing it down doesn't make it that much harder. It just gives you a better chance that you're going to trip on the box when you're going back up when fatigue sets in. So preferably just for those lateral ones, leave that foot up on the box and make yourself a little safer in this work set. A couple different variations for our jump as well. If you don't have an apparatus that you feel comfortable jumping on, we can work on the jump squat and we can work on the broad jump. So the broad jump, what we work on is that same hip engagement, except we're going lengthwise. We're going long. So we swing, we jump, we land with good control. Depending on how much space I have, I can turn around, swing, jump, land with good control. We're trying to land soft in the knees and the ankles, so we're trying to land quiet and with good control. It doesn't have to be a big jump. Jump the length that allows you to have control in the landing and land soft and safe. I'll have a couple other options on the bottom there for you guys for some jump options in the work set. So take that down, have some fun with it, pick your adventure, have an enjoyable gassing time with those jumps. Especially if you choose the tuck or the broad jump. The broad jump is gassing, absolutely gassing. There's a lot going on there. So what we have for you guys, I'll have a practice round, a couple different variations if you want to practice those and play with them to get your heart rate up, jacked up. Take down a couple of those rounds, then move into the work set. One time through, 40 alternating lunges, 30 dumbbell kettlebell swings, 20 box jumps or a variation of box jump. Done. Now, I'm going to go through that optional piece at the end that's going to ease you into a cool down, and we'll go through those exercises, turn you loose. All right, so we have 3 exercises on the bottom that's kind of optional if you'd like to move right into them after the work set. Give yourself about 20 to 30 seconds, just so you still have some of that warmth, the workout heat and fatigue going. It'll just allow you to work that out nice and slowly. So the first exercise we have is that single-legged morning with rotation. So I'm going to step one foot in front, heel is on the floor, toes pulled back. I like to go knuckles together in the front. I'm going to squeeze my glutes. I pull back in my hinge and then rotate towards that lead leg with my elbow. And then I stand tall. And then I can do 3 to 5 per side and switch, or I can alternate 6 to 10. So from the side, I get that good hinge, like a good morning. Rotate towards that lead leg and come back tall. Don't worry if you can't touch your elbow to your knee or your thigh. Just take it to the range you're comfortable, that you can feel that good sensation in that glute and hamstring. If you feel it down, calf, ankle, we want to make sure that we're squeezing the glutes so that we get that nice sensation up in the upper leg. After that, we're going to work on some balance and some back scales. So you can do this in a walking variation or a stationary variation. I'm going to show you both. We get ourselves set up, squeezing through the glutes. I'm going to keep that toe curled back. I'm going to hinge at the hip, keeping that hip square to the floor, and then stand tall. I can do all on one side, or I can alternate back and forth, working on that hinge. Taking it as far down to parallel as I can with good control. Now, if we're doing it variation, like a dynamic variation or a walking variation, we set, we squeeze, we hinge, we come through, we set, square hips, we squeeze and hinge, stand tall, step, set, and hinge. So we want to make sure that we're still setting our hips and setting our glutes before we work that hinge. The only difference is we're just traveling a little bit forward in our movement. Last little exercise we got is our side lunge. So we're gonna go nice and wide. We're gonna work on those good squat mechanics as we work on taking the hip to the heel with that tall chest. And these are gonna burn after this work set, but that's kind of the purpose. We're trying to work that kind of fatigue through the body a little bit quicker by doing a little bit more leg exercise. So with this, we're taking a slow hip coming down towards the heel, keeping that chest up tall, pushing through that leg. And we take it back to the other side, focusing on our posture. That's our primary focus, is that upright torso, not necessarily the range that we get down towards the heel. The heel is a target. We're using it to keep the hip drawing back and down, but focusing primarily on staying as upright as we can, like we do in our squat. You can take that down 1 or 2 times after the work set, and then use that to ease you into a nice cool down, and then call it a day and enjoy your weekend, you guys. So please enjoy. I hope you guys have fun with this little burner. Take the time, it's the end of the week. Take the time to make sure you're good and warm. That whole first portion of our work set today is all about just taking our time and moving slow to get that body primed up and ready. Our practice round is get the heart rate going, and then tackle the sprint, and then ease into a cool down. As always, you guys, work for quality, have a ton of fun with this one. One time through, it's gonna be a burner. Embrace the burn and have a lot of fun, everyone. We'll see you soon with some more fun programming. Bye for now.